Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being on the call. We have an awesome guest speaker today in Dianna Kokoszka.
You're very welcome. So October, what is October then?
You would just send us a list.
You said October. You'll get orders in October. Is that the plan?
Somebody mute their phone, please.
Hello? Hey, Lance.
Yes. We need to get somebody to mute their phone that's on another call.
And we also have EDL contracts. If you don't like what we, if you don't like what we're doing, help you with this. After a month or something, you just say, hey, this is working out. We'll just
We need to mute everybody, or
Mute all.
No.
Except now we mute him too.
Yeah, we need you on, Lance, though.
I got him. Okay.
well, if everybody could mute themselves, that would be awesome. We want to get through this call today and have an awesome guest speaker with Dianna Kokoszka. Before we get started with her, we just wanted to go through and get some ahas as we're coming to a close of the contest portion of the lead generating. But we all know that the lead generating doesn't stop today. It's going to be going on for the next couple of months. So let's get 5 ahas from people as far as what they've been encountering, and did they meet their expectations? Just some feedback on your behalf. Who wants to go first?
Hi, Lance. This is Carrie from New Hampshire and Hergenrother Realty Group.
Awesome. Hi there.
Hi. So the biggest aha that I had was that with this challenge, it kind of gave me a new perspective on lead generation, and where I've just brought new buyer's agents on, it really showed me that this is not as difficult as we kind of feel it is on a constant basis. It really is just something that you do every day, and the great part about it was it forced me to really think about how I'm going to make those contacts and who I should be interacting with, and make sure my activities were going to yield great results. And so I'm super stoked about what I've accomplished and about what's going to happen in the next couple months. So thanks.
Absolutely, and just imagine how much easier it's going to be going forward. And it also enabled you to think differently and outside the box a little bit in creative ways of lead generating, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, who would like to go second?
Lance, this is Ben from 5 Doors Network,
Okay.
the 5 Doors Fanatics. This competition and this challenge has been really, it's been really good for us. It's challenged us in ways that it kind of dispelled some of the limiting beliefs that our team had. I mean, our team is spread out over the country. We've got 2 agents in Maryland and 2 in Arizona and 2 here in Portland, Oregon, and that certainly has been difficult for us. And what it's done is it's made us really look to see how we can incorporate this into our business on a regular basis within the 5 Doors family. And I think that having a centralized team is something that will certainly help, because it's been difficult at times when one of the team members in the location is struggling, or if both of them are struggling. It's tough to get buoyed up, if you will. And so having a core group of really bought-in agents doing the work together, like all 6, I think is going to make a big impact. And at the same point in time, where we're at now versus where we were at when we first this challenge, what we thought was capable is we've grown so much in that time. And some people might say, well, it's the leader, and I beg to differ. I think it's the team. Michael Jordan would have been a great basketball player, but he needed Scottie Pippen and B.J. Armstrong and Tony Kukoc and Steve Kerr and like all these guys around him to be really who he became being. And so it takes all of us to do really well. And so doing that locally, having it centralized will be a big impact for us. when we do that again in the near future.
Okay, that'll be awesome. And you can have each of your teams participate, because I think you guys have 8 or 9 locations now. I mean, you could have a massive event, right?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. Who'd like to go third? Who's next?
Hi, Lance. This is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Mike Kokoszka, and I'm BOLD. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm on the Knockout Listers team, and I'm actually a really new agent. This is the first time I've been practicing ever, and so this has been one giant aha for myself. It's been a great learning experience. I've never lead generated. I've never done anything. And within the first week, I was able to set an appointment, a listing appointment. Second week, I set another listing appointment and a buyer's appointment, and they didn't fall through, but just the learning curve and the learning that's entailed throughout this whole thing has been fantastic. I couldn't, there's no better way to learn. So this whole thing has been a great aha in terms of lead generation, learning scripts and understanding where I'm failing in my scripts. And I'd like to thank 2 members on my team, Tyler Bundy and Carrie Witt, because they've been helping me the entire way.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And I'll be up there in August, the week after Mega Camp, so hopefully I'll get to meet you.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
Okay. Who wants to go forth?
Hey, Lance, it's Mario Joyner with the Snyder Group and with Dale Snyder's group at Keller Williams, Las Vegas. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you.
Good. I just wanted to share, actually, I transitioned the weekend full-time to real estate the weekend that the challenge started. And Dale really encouraged me, without a whole lot of knowledge of what I was going to do, but just to challenge myself and kind of get rid of limiting beliefs with Circle Prospect. Not only worked with buyers up to this point, I've been working part-time with the group, so he challenged me to get my contacts up as I was transitioning from a 9-to-5 job into making real estate my full-time career. So I just wanted to first thank him. And then secondly, just thank you for what you've done for all of us for the weeks with lining up the excellent speakers and kind of knowing when to pulse check with us and who to bring on, as this was indeed a marathon and not a sprint. So just wanted to just thank you and thank Dale and everyone that was involved in my team here in Las Vegas with pushing each other to make sure we got to where we needed to be. And now we're going to grow as an organization because of it.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And we're very excited about what this is going to do for everyone's business on here. So let's get one more person before we jump over with Dianna. One more. Who's it going to be?
Hi, Lance. This is Corey with the Hergenrosser Group.
Awesome.
So my biggest thing is implementing kind of this challenge into my business. The intention for me, I've kind of set a goal to make sure that I make 30 to 40 contacts a day just on my regular business from here on forward. And really changing that mindset. I've said it once before, I believe that I get nervous now, or kind of a sick feeling when I'm not doing my lead generation. So I feel like that going forward in my business is going to really improve and launch our team in the Twin Cities.
That's phenomenal. Thank you very much. Again, we are so excited and so appreciative, and Dianna's been so busy the last couple of weeks. We are honored and privileged to have Dianna, and thank you for taking the call today, Dianna, and the floor is yours.
Well, I got to tell you, I am so excited to be with you guys today. And just so I know how many are on the phone, just at the count of 3, everybody go, woohoo, at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's quite a few of you. That's always exciting. Let's look at these numbers if we could, okay? I'm just curious. because I got to tell you, first of all, thank you, Mario, Michael, Ben, Carrie, all of you that gave ahas. Really appreciate that. And one of the things that came to mind that I heard throughout what you were saying is change your thinking and you change your world. So how many of you learned to think differently during this event? Anybody?
I know for me, for the contacts, my thinking has changed dramatically. I just found that now I have a new battle that I have to overcome, which was I've seen myself lose listing appointments over and over as a result of whatever it might be. So now I'm finding a new hurdle that I have to overcome. Instead of the contacts, my thinking has changed on that. It's now my appointments are winning at the table.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. So here's the thing that I'm going to ask is that when you're there, here's one thing I know about taking listings. When you're on a listing appointment, are you there?
There was some other noise. Can you start over?
Yep, that's what I'm getting on. When you go on a listing appointment, are you on the listing appointment?
Yes.
Yeah, you're. Where's she going with this? Of course you're on a listing appointment. Do you
Yes.
have your radio going?
No, I'm thinking about, I usually think about what I'm going to, the process I'm going to take my clients through.
Where I'm getting at is we're on a phone call and people are having a party and I'm going, oh my word. I started out with the PCs and it was so fun because I laid the ground rule for all of my calls. And I realized that I didn't set expectations with all of you. And for that, I do apologize because, see, I think leaders set expectations. My expectations is where you're there. When you're there, be there. In fact, be wherever you're at. And I find that especially with the top agents and being one myself, is sometimes when I was at home, I was still thinking about work. And sometimes when I was work, I would think about being at home. I mean, it was so much fun. And I realized that when my life changed was when I was there. I was there. And I was really present in the moment. My listings went up. My appointments went up when I was on the phone because I was very intentional and very focused. In fact, one of the best compliments I've ever received in my entire life came from John Maxwell. And we were having dinner with Jack Welch. And John turned to Jack and he says, I want to introduce Dianna Kokoszka. And he says, she is one of the most intentional people you will ever meet in your life. And I thought, you know what? Some people may say that isn't a compliment. I think it is. And it started with me being present wherever I was. And so when you're on the phone, taking notes, giving it 100%, in essence, giving all of you to everything that you decide to do. I learned that by working hard when I was at work and playing hard when I was at play made so much sense. And I have a quote that I've been saying a lot lately, and I want to share that with you. Is that okay if I share it with you guys?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Sure.
Said I want to learn like I'll live forever, and I want to live like I'll die tomorrow. Did you get that? I want to learn like I'll live forever and live like I'll die tomorrow. Because I think it's so important that we're intentional. And I want to commend each and every one of you for being intentional upon this particular contest. This contest brought about by Lance and all of you getting together and saying, yeah, let's go for it. It was so much fun. And I loved all of the hype and the excitement around it. And preparing for this today, because I believe you've got to be intentional in your preparation in that, I wrote down that to make anything work, you have to be intentional. It starts out with intentionality to make it at a high level. You got to have the tools. In essence, you got to have the phone numbers that you can call in order to make calls. You got to have models and systems, which Gary Keller has done the very, very best of giving us the models and systems to use. In essence, you know them as scripts and dialogues. I also wrote down that you've got to take action. You got to take massive amounts of action when you do this particular type of a contest. And number 5, I wrote down apply consistency. Because see, one of the things that I found in my life is that when you're intentional, you have the right tools, the right models and systems, you take action and you apply consistency to that action, your life changes. So I want to ask a very, to me, a very astute question in the fact I want to find this out because I want to find out who did you become during this contest? Are you the same person that started this contest? So who wants to go first? Who did you become during this contest?
Diana, this is Ben at 5 Doors Network. I became someone who had to be way more intentional and focused with my time blocking.
Intentional on time blocking?
Intentional on time blocking, intentional on adhering to the time block, not just having it on my calendar, but spending time with my family is extremely important. And if I wanted to get 100 contacts, I had to get creative on how I was going to do that and not rob them of the time that I was supposed to be spending with them.
Oh, Ben, thank you so much. So in essence, that's where when you said my aha was it challenged me. So you were challenged in a lot more than just picking up the phone, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I needed to rearrange my schedule. So, I mean, it was E to P with, which I thought I had done with my calendar, and this just poked a lot of holes in it, and it just showed me that my calendar was really Swiss cheese, and I needed to plug it up.
Good for you. Anybody else want to share? Who did you become during this contest?
Diana, this is Corey.
Yes.
So for me, I believe that this challenge actually made me a better leader for my team, and proving that we can do this on a higher level than we've been doing it before, and having better accountability.
I like that. Why do you guys think, first of all, I let silence do the heavy lifting because, see, I believe how you participate here is how you participate everywhere. And therefore, I either asked a great question and you went internal and it took a while to think about it, which means it was a great question, or you thought I would give in to the silence. Number one thing to learn, it will help you with your listings. That's how I did my listings too. So do you want me to handle the sell for you? And sometimes it took as long as that silence. And I just sat there. Of course, I put the contract and the pen in front of them as well. I just sat there and I waited and waited and waited and I could outwait them. So I'm teaching as I go along. Is it okay if I just comment on those teaching moments?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, great. All right. What would be the reason that I would start out with who did you become? There's no right or wrong answer here. Just shout out. What would be the reason I would start out with who did you become during this contest?
Well, assume that there's change.
Assume that there's change, yes? Any other reasons?
Because throughout this
For
entire
us-
challenge. Go ahead.
Accept the challenge, okay?
For us, this was really about pushing our limits and getting rid of those limiting beliefs. And from the result of this contest, the desire is to be better than we were before we started.
I love that. You know, I like what all of you are saying. And the reason that I started with Who Did You Become? Because there's one thing that I learned in physics. Number one, everything is made of energy. We all know that. In fact, it's so much fun because they took an atom. Now, you know that atoms are made up of molecules, right? You know all this stuff. A molecule has atoms, blah, 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 blah. Well, they took this and under high-powered microscopes, they were able to see things, and they found that every atom is made up of 99.99999% energy and 0.00001% particle. So everything we do is about energy, and they also know that like energy attracts like energy. So see, it's not what you want in life. You do not attract what you want. You attract who you are. And so until we change, we'll keep attracting into our life the same thing, evidenced by what Einstein said. Keep doing the same thing, and what will you get?
Same results.
The same results. And he said to keep doing the same thing and expect different results was actually called what?
Insanity.
Insanity. And so I started out with who did you become? Because we don't attract what we want, we attract who we are. And I started looking at all these great numbers that you brought together. And Lance sent me all of the numbers and all of the charts. And by the way, I'm very impressed with the way that you all turned in your numbers. And I'm sure some of you still have numbers to turn in. And yet I'm looking at the first 3 weeks, and I looked at this and I said, you made 102,305 contacts. And congratulations. Wow. And very impressive. That you received 6,730 leads, which means in my math, in fact, if you have a calculator, how many of you have a calculator that you can grab right now? Grab it, okay?
Got it.
Got it? Yeah, you can grab your phone, right? So take 102,305 and divide it by 6,730. And if your calculator's like mine, you got 15.2, right? So it's 50.
Yes.
So here's what you know. If I make 15 contacts, I will obtain a lead. Got it? Now let's look at appointments. We take the 102,305 and we divide it by the 2,721. What did you all get?
37.6.
Yeah, so we round up, so it's 38 contacts to an appointment. Now, if I want an appointment, what should I do?
All 38.
Go contact 38 contacts, right? Make 38 contacts. Now we look at listings taken. What it showed me on listings taken was 335 listings taken. So what would we do? We'd take the 102,305 and divide by 335. And you got 305, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
So based upon this, it says that you need to make 305 contacts to take a listing. Does that make sense?
That's not very good numbers.
No, we're going to talk about that in a minute because I'm a coach, right? I want to help coach you. So we have 2,721 appointments that were set. Now, maybe you haven't gone on all of them. I don't know. So I'm just going to take the appointments, and we're going to divide that by the number of listings taken, which tells me, excuse me, I apologize. We're going to take the number of listings taken and divide it by the appointments. And that tells me that we're taking 12% of our listings that we go on. Oh, wow, it just got really, the energy just got real flat.
Are we not listening
Yeah.
to this?
So then,
I think you're right, though. I think that a lot of us still have appointments that we're going on, and we're still getting messages from people saying, hey, I would like to talk with you about that listing.
excellent.
So I think that's positive.
Yes, and that's why I said what I said. Thank you so much, because that's why I said what I said in the beginning. What I would start tracking is the appointments gone on, because then you'll know. One of the biggest things, though, is right now we do know that you have to have 305 contacts to make and take a listing at this point. Let's, though, look at listings under contract. Now, this is either the market that you're in, or you guys are doggone good at pricing, and it's probably a combination of both, because you've had 130 listings go under contract. So if you take 130 and divide by 335, literally 39% of the listings that you've taken have gone under contract, and that's very good in 3 weeks, for heaven's sake. So congratulations. And of course, you've had 120 buyer under contracts, which make a total of 350 under contracts. You can actually take this to the point of saying 102,305 divided by 350, and it takes me 292 contacts to get a contract. Do you start seeing how intentional you can be about the money that you make and the contracts that you get and the closings you're actually able to obtain? Now, you guys probably knew all of this already. These were the numbers that I tracked every single week and every month and every year. And believe me, there were a lot of years, right? Now, with all of that taking place, we know that the best I ever did was 11 contacts to a listing taken. And that was over a month. 19 was average for the year. The last year, it was 17 contacts to a listing taken. So when you look, and like I said, we really can't take how much right now because of appointments and listings, yet we can say how many contacts to a listing taken thus far. It could be because you're contacting just listed, just sold, which did not bring as many appointments. The ones that brought the most appointments, obviously for me and probably for you too, were for sell by owners and expireds, because they already raised their hand and said, I want to list. And so obviously contacting those, I did much better than even my past clients just listing, just sold, or just randomly out of a phone book. Now, first of all, once again, I'm commending you on everything you've done. This is fabulous. And I also want you to see what we would do in coaching and what we would be looking at. One of the biggest things that I would say is that, one, you price them right. You guys are doing great on pricing. I would definitely practice the listing presentation. And one thing I can say after so many years of taking listings is don't get out of the chair and leave the listing without it signed. The chances of people calling you back, yes, it happens. Now, is this okay if I just talk honest with you guys like this, or do you want me to sugarcoat everything?
Candid as possible.
Okay, because
please don't sugarcoat it.
I'll do either way. You know, I tell people when I first start coaching them, I'll be your coach, not your friend. And then after they've coached with me for a while, they go, yeah, you're right, you're not my friend. And yet I become their friend. You know why?
Because you're honest.
Because you care.
Yeah, they make a lot of
care enough to say the tough stuff.
Yeah, they make a lot of money. And thank you for saying that. It is out of caring. Because these people that don't care about you won't tell you the truth. It's kind of like going to a restaurant. See, awareness is the first key to change. And you know, let's say you're out having a great night. I mean, I went to dinner with Lance Loken. Man, can that guy do it up right. I've been to every chance I have to go to dinner with you, Lance, I'm there, right? He just always makes it so great. And we're sitting there, you know, having dinner, we're talking, it's great conversation, and that's one of the reasons I wouldn't even have to go to dinner. I just love talking to Lance. And so you get up from your chair to go to the restroom, and you're washing your hands, and you look in the mirror and smile, and you go, oh my gosh, I got a piece of spinach between my teeth, and nobody told me. And I've been talking to all these people for how long, and I look like an idiot, right? Wouldn't it be better if you had, no, this didn't happen. Okay, this didn't happen, so I don't want you thinking that Lance wasn't my friend. Wouldn't it be better, though, and wouldn't you expect a friend to tell you the truth and say, hey, you got this little piece of spinach right there? Well, you tell me, would you like your friend to tell you you had spinach there, or would you want him just to be quiet?
Tell me.
Yes.
Okay, so see, they do it out of caring. I said the other day to a bunch of coaches, hey, if my little granddaughter runs into the road, I go after her. I don't go, oh, honey, you can run into the road if you want to. I hope you don't get hit. No, I'm going to grab her up and go, are you kidding? Don't do that, you know. Anyway, yes, I'm going to be honest with you. And if at any time I make you feel uncomfortable, then you know I'm telling you the truth. Why would you feel uncomfortable when you hear the truth sometimes?
It creates awareness.
What?
Because it creates awareness.
Because it creates awareness. Now you want to know the other steps to change?
Yes.
Okay, so awareness is the first step to change. Expectations is the second step. And then actions are the third. See, if you don't have awareness, if you don't set expectations, then it doesn't matter what action you take. When you know these numbers, you can set expectations. When you know that it takes 15 contacts to get a lead, now I don't know what you call a lead, so that's a whole different subject. Whatever it is, it's okay. It's your definition. And you're the one that matters. If I wanted to create 6 leads, how many people would I have to contact?
75.
Hold on. 90?
90, right, 90. So 6 times 15. And let me just tell you, every time I say I'm going to do math, people go, ah, or I say, I'm going to talk about science, and they go, ah, you know. So I get all of that. And most of you are doing this in your head without a calculator, so I commend you for that. Where I'm getting and where I'm going is once you know your numbers, you can be so intentional about your business. It's amazing.
And so you have to start improving them every week and how to improve them and be really very mindful of our stuff. Do you agree?
So let me look at some other things. Now that it's not over yet, you still got a couple of days. What would you do differently, though? Let's go back and look at what would we do differently.
I have my calendar blocked out for the entire month ahead of time.
Ooh, good job. So have you done that already for the upcoming rest of the year? So you have your calendar blocked out for lead generation?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Well, isn't that fun? I'm so excited. I actually got to coach someone today. So by when will that be done?
It will be done by Sunday.
By Sunday. Okay, now who is this?
This was Justin Hawkins with the Loken.
Justin Hawkins. Congratulations, Justin. I bet you'll do a great job. So who's going to hold Justin accountable and call him on Sunday to see if he got it done?
Sarah St. Marceau.
Well, I'm just saying, I can give you what I have to do.
I already asked him to text me, Diana.
Okay, perfect. I love it. It's awesome. Justin, congratulations. You just took a step forward in being intentional. Love it. What else would you guys do differently?
Otherwise, I wouldn't have these listings if I didn't talk to my group.
Hey, Diana, this is Stacy from Philadelphia.
Yes, Stacy.
Yeah, I would put more emphasis on making our weekly coaching call. I feel like some people got a little distracted with making their contact and didn't realize, I think, doing our coaching call together is like going to the gym. It feels like it's a waste of time. We never have time to do it. Once you get on it, you're really glad you did. And that's a quote from somebody on the team who was going to not come, and then he got on the call and was really glad he did. So I think it's super important that we take the time to step back and get regrouped together so we can maintain our mindset and momentum.
Stacy, that's so important. I had an opportunity to meet with Peyton Manning. There were 6 of us. It was my family. So I got with Peyton and I said, hey, there's going to be 6 of us. And we spent an hour and a half with Peyton Manning asking him questions. One of the things I asked him is, how often do you go back to the basics? And he said, every day before every practice. And I said, what are some of the basics you go through? And he says, well, it starts with my mindset. And see, he goes every day to practice. He hears from a coach every single day. Playing the game is playing the game. You got to be prepared, right? And I love, Stacy, when you said make that weekly coaching call. That's where you get your mindset right and you get in alignment. How fast can a car go down the road when the wheels are out of alignment?
Not very fast.
Okay, and what happens to a car when the wheels are out of alignment?
Probably crashes.
Well, yeah, you're actually fighting the steering wheel all the time because it keeps pulling to the right or pulling to the left. And so you're having to literally work harder by keeping the car on the road. And so when you think about this, when you're all in alignment through your coaching call, then you're in alignment, you can go fast, and you're not fighting the steering wheel, which means you're not having to work as hard.
Next to me.
Hey, Diana, it's Lance.
Yes.
You don't bother getting coached anymore, do you?
I even have Diana.
I'm sorry, because I'm hearing so many people on conversations in the back, and I know everyone's working, so I get that. So say again, Lance.
You don't bother getting coached anymore, do you? You have way too much experience to be coached.
Oh, that's got to be the funniest joke I've heard all day. John Maxwell is one of my coaches. You may have heard of him. And then, of course, I've got Gary Keller, John Davis, Chris Heller, Mary Tennant, Mo Anderson. I have a gentleman named Clay who's my coach. Of course, my husband, Tony DeCello, loves to coach me. Sometimes I have to remind him he doesn't need to do that quite as much. And when you think about it, I have a health coach. Nina Rowan Heller is my health coach, as well as my son, Shane Kokoszka, who's a holistic doctor. So, yes, I have coaches. I also just hired recently another coach in my life because I want to learn something, and I find the best way to learn it, the best way to be held accountable is through that coach. And I learned that from Gary Keller, who did the 6 perspectives. And the very top one was to get into mastery, right? You've got to absolutely want to be a master at your trade. And part of those 6 perspectives is you've got to be held accountable to become a master of your trade. And so, Lance, you're right. You already know I have a lot of coaches, and they hold me accountable, plus help pour into me so I can pour into all of you.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. So the things that you would do differently is have your coaching call weekly, make certain that you make that coaching call. You would block out your calendar and make certain, because see, I have this little phrase, if it's not in your calendar, well, it doesn't
exist.
Yeah, and so the other one is it's not about selling real estate, it's about what?
Following your schedule.
So see, if it's not in your schedule and it doesn't exist and you don't sell real estate, you follow a schedule, you're never going to sell as much real estate as when you literally plan out your day. And I got to tell you, if you plan out your day the night before, here's what happens unconsciously. See, 5% of what we do is conscious. 95% of what we do is unconscious. We are driven by autopilot 95% of the time. It is absolutely autopilot that we're on. By the time we're 20, we say, been there, done that, don't need to think about it anymore, just like brushing your teeth or getting ready for work. Your unconscious mind literally does the work for you. Now, if you will plan your day the night before your head ever hits that pillow, write down 5 things that you are going to accomplish the next day. Look at your schedule and then go do whatever you want to do. Go to sleep. You know, if you watch TV a little bit before, I don't know your routine, don't need to know your routine. I'm just telling you, if you will do that before you go to bed, 95% of your brain will be working on it all night long. And when you get up the next day, you'll be surprised how much better your day goes, because you've already pre-planned, you've been intentional about your day. Now, let me show you how this works, okay? Now, for those of you who have ever been in my classes, and I may even put this in bold because it's such a great demonstration of autopilot. You're not, put down your pencils, put down your pens. I don't want you writing anything down because this is about you and your brain, okay? Everybody in? Say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so 5 of you. Do I only have 5 of you on the call?
Yes. No.
Okay. Is everybody in?
10 of us in one room.
Oh, you're all in one room. Okay. So here we go. You're going to add these things up. Once again, don't pick up a pencil. All right. Here we go. 1,000 plus 40 is how much?
1,040.
Oh, you guys are really smart. Now, everyone's doing this. If they're not doing it, poke them one, hit them one, do whatever you got to do. Get them involved, okay? Are you in?
In.
Okay. So 1,000 plus 40 is what?
1,040.
1,040.
Okay. Plus 1,000 is what?
2,040.
2,040.
Plus 30 is how much?
2,070.
Plus 1,000 is how much?
3,070.
3,070.
Plus 20 is how much?
3,090.
3,090.
Plus 1,000 is how much?
4,090.
4,090.
Okay, 3 of you still doing it. And plus 10 is how much?
5,000.
5,000.
Yep.
Somebody said 5 grand.
Yep, 5,000. Isn't that interesting? And every one of us are wrong.
It's 5,000.
Oh, no.
Oh, we missed the small
Let's do
detail.
it
The
again.
plus. Is there a
Tony
comma?
argued with me. My husband sat and argued with me after I did it. I said, Tony, I've never had a person not tell me 5,000. Never had a person tell me 5,000. So congratulations for all of you being part of the human race and being like everyone else, right? So now I want you to think about this, and I'm going to say it differently. 4090 plus 0010 is how much?
4,100.
4,100. So why do you say 5,000? Because 95% of what you do is unconscious. Did I just prove my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What you do, it is
Not eating cookies at your
amazing
house.
how our mind works. And ladies and gentlemen, you're no different than everyone else. That's what everyone does. And we do it because the way our mind works. See, you have 3 brains in one. The first one is the neocortex. That's the one that's listening to me right now. It loves to learn. Learn, learn, learn. Woohoo, I love it. Then once you learn it, you got to implement it. Otherwise, it just stays in the neocortex. This is where all the wiring and firing of neuroscience tells us nerve cells that fire together, wire together. So you learn it. And as Gary Keller says, learning without implementation, you could win at Jeopardy and nothing else, right? So now, when you start doing it, at that point, doing it goes into the limbic part of the brain. And the limbic part of the brain is where the emotions lie. The limbic part of the brain is the part that says, lift up your hand, squeeze the pencil, right? Then after you do something long enough, like brushing your teeth, it just becomes a habit. You do it almost the same time every day. And once you do it so much, because learning is for the mind and experience is for the body, and now you've connected the mind and the body together, it goes into the cerebellum part of the brain. And that's where your unconscious portion lives. And that's why when you want to change a habit, and this is why I said to everyone at the beginning, pay the $100 and get Nina Rowan Heller. It's $100 per team. Get her to help you with the energy advantage. Because otherwise, you're going to run out of energy. Your numbers are going to go down. You'll do worse. And it was an option, and people chose not to do it. And that's okay. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm here to say I knew what would happen. Because you're taking 5% of your brain to work against 95% of your brain. And what are the odds of 5% winning over 95%? It's not very good, and it's not about you being bad or indifferent or anything wrong or right. It's not. It just is. And when you know the brain, you know what will happen. And did it happen? Yes or no? Did the numbers go down as the weeks went on?
Yes. Yep.
It's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
sounds like a lecture, and I don't want it to. I'm just giving it to you so you understand. See, this is how my coaches talk with me. This is how we learn. And when you've got 5% of who you are going against 95%, which is automatic, it takes more than just thinking about it. It takes a lot more, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I wanted to know who you had become, because who you had become is what went to the cerebellum. Who we are is on autopilot. And once again, we do not attract what we want, we attract who we are. And so we started out with the neocortex, which is the have part. Oh, love that car. I learned all about it. That's the have part of the brain. The limbic part of the brain is the doing part. And the cerebellum is the being part. So you've got 95% of you is who you are being. And that 95% sends out so much energy that the 5% that is conscious really doesn't stand much of a chance. That's why in BOLD I say spontaneity is a conditioned reflex. See, the reason that you can come up with scripts and dialogues to make the appointment, to take the listing, is because you put it into the cerebellum. As long as it's still in the limbic part of the brain, you will stumble, fall, and get some listings and others you won't. When you absolutely become a ninja with scripts and dialogues And here's something I found, and I'm certain that you've already found out, and Lance, you top agents, you already know, that when you have studied an objection, there's only like 10 of them. I always wanted to go into a listing and say, here's the 10 objections, here's my answers. Read it while I leave your house, right? Because it's that, I thought I'd get some laughs. I got a few. It's that simple. There's about 10 objections. So I did these objections, and I studied, and I studied, and I found out 5, 6, 7 different ways to handle the objections. And I became a ninja on objection handling. And you know what? I stopped getting objections. And I think it was my confidence, the way and who I was being was so intense, and the energy was so strong that when I went into a listing presentation, made my presentation, asked my questions, they answered the questions, there was really nowhere to go except for just sign the contract. And that sounds very egotistical, and it's not. What it is teaching people as to who you can become. And you do that from becoming so good at it that I was watching yesterday, last evening, the people going for the Olympics, right? And on the free X exercise and the balance beam, those girls were doing backflips in midair, landing on that little 3-inch beam. And I'm going, holy moly. Well, they could do that because it was so ingrained in them. It was who they were being. They were part of that being. Mark, why did my brain just go? Phelps, yes. In swimming, 40 years old, still breaking records and qualifies for the Olympics because of who he's being and what he's got in his cerebellum as an autopilot. And so I want you to get this picture. See, I look at scripts, at dialogues, at handling objections, just like playing pool. And this came to me from Jerry Bresser. And when you play pool, what do? Do you just get up and hit the cue ball?
No.
What do?
Plan out your shot, your next shot, and the shot after that.
Right. You're 2 or 3 shots ahead. Well, for heaven's sakes, I used to play a lot of pool. I like to play pool. No, you never take a shot without lining up the cue ball for the next shot. So I thought, why would I do real estate any different? I'm never going to ask a question. I don't know where I'm going. And see, the final answer is 8 ball in the corner pocket. I'm going for it. I'm going to get the listing. That's why when people would shadow me, I'd say, look, you can shadow me provided you say nothing. Because I know where I'm going, and all you have to do is say something, and it will throw it completely off. Now, the reason I ask questions is to get them to open up to say what I choose for them to say. Now, that's the way you take listings. That's the way you take buyer agencies. That's the way you literally make the appointment, is because you're setting everything up to where they would be an idiot to say no. And when I would role play with Tony in many instances, in fact, at one mastermind, there were 3 of us up in front, and it was kind of a game show, and the people got to say which objection handling they liked. And pretty soon we were role playing because Tony would read the card that the people set in. And one guy in the audience got up to the mic and he said, Tony, you're just giving in. And he says, no, I'm not giving in. Listen to what she says. I'd be an idiot to say no. And he goes, I don't believe you. And I said, well, let's you and I role play. And so we role played. And when he said yes to sign the contract, I said, so did you give in? And he said, no, it just made such logical sense. I said, it's called pacing and leading. See, when you take the language of sales, you learn about pacing and leading. Pacing is something that's true. Leading is something that may be true or that you want to be true. Got it? So what's a pace?
something that's true.
And leading is what?
Something that
Want to
may
be true.
Okay, so we're on the phone. Is that true?
Yes, kind of. But that's a pace.
Oh, we're on a webinar. Is that what they call it? We're on a webinar. Is that true?
Yes.
Talking and listening with each other. Is that true?
Yes.
Discussing the BOLD6000 concept and ways that we can improve. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I got you to say 3 yeses. And whether I got you to say yes, which I generally don't stop for a seller or buyer to say yes, because when a question is asked or a statement is made, your brain is already judging everything anyway. So we're on a webinar talking with each other, thinking about ways that we can improve, which automatically means you should hire a coach, because that's the way you'll get improvement the best. Now, is it true that you should hire a coach? Yes and no. It doesn't matter. There is no yes or no. I'm just telling you what I want you to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when I make appointments, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're on the phone, or Mr. for sale by owner, you want to sell your home. We're on the phone. I have buyers, which automatically means we should get together, because I may have a buyer for your home. Well, do you have a buyer? I don't know. I haven't seen your home yet. When could we get together? We could get together at 3, or should we just make an appointment for 4? Now, get together at 3 or make an appointment at 4 means I'm going to see him. It sounds like an option. The 95% of their brain is saying she gave me an option. That's all they want is an option. My brain said I'm getting an appointment with you either way. Because what happens if I stop by at 3 or we make an appointment at 4, am I seeing you?
Yes.
Yeah. Or I could just stop by today at 4, or we could make an appointment for tomorrow in the evening, which is best for you. See, what are we doing now? I've taken over your time. I so apologize. I get so excited. I get all jacked up getting ready to help agents and to get them going and to just pour into them. And so I apologize. I've taken more time than I should have, and actually more time than I had. I love Lance. He asked me to do this. I just think the world of him, and so I did that for him. May I just leave you with one thought?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Then I want 2 ahas, okay? So here's a poem that I use all the time with myself, with the MATS team, with the coaches, and I'm going to leave you with it as well. You've heard it in bold. It's in every course I ever write or that I teach. Until one is committed, there's a hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things happen and occur to help one that would otherwise never have occurred. The whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidences and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Gorse's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it, because boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. So what are your 2 ahas from our talk today? And I trust, Lance, this is what you wanted.
Yes. And don't forget, you want to talk about, you also wanted to talk about West Virginia.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, 2 ahas.
Diana, this is
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. This is Stacy from Philadelphia again. Well, when you were talking about the neocortex, the limbic part, and the cerebellum, it reminded me of your bold law, be, do, have, and I realize now that you're trying to get, or not, you are helping us to make our subconscious brain operate in a way that we know will make us successful. So it did make sense before, but now scientifically it makes even more sense, and I think it's really cool. So thank you for explaining that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for noticing. Okay.
This is Justin again. First one is the awareness and expectations and then lead to actions, and knowing your numbers in order to be aware, in order to set expectations, in order to know what the actions need to be. So that will be my intention to have with my calendar as well by Sunday on the 3rd over to Sarah. And secondly, it's more of a, yes, I agree. I had the pleasure of role-playing with you last year, and everyone said, why did I go easy on you afterwards? And it was, I didn't. I had nowhere else to go. So just hearing it this time, it now makes sense to me a year later, as I really had nowhere else to go because you took me down the road you wanted me to be in. And so I will be working with my clients that way as well.
Well, congratulations on that, Justin, because you know what's interesting is I've often just absolutely marveled at being known across the nation. In fact, in my day and age, so to speak, they called me the script and systems queen. And yet at Keller Williams, do you know how few people have ever asked me to handle an objection or to teach an objection handling class or about my systems? Now, a lot of the top agents have come and looked at them and then copied a lot of the stuff. And it's just interesting to me how few people ask questions. See, I'm on this phone because Lance Loken asked me to be. When you ask, you generally, well, I believe the old terminology, ask and ye shall receive, right? Let me just give you one example. John Maxwell used to coach, probably 20 people it was. Then he went down to 14 people. Last year, he coached 13 people. This year, he's coaching 1.
Are you the one?
Well, yeah, I told you he was my coach.
Oh, missed that.
And I called him and I said, I can't believe you're not going to coach anymore. I think that's crazy. And he says, I'll coach you. Is that what you were going to ask me? I said, yeah, I was. He says, yeah, I felt your energy on the phone. He knew why I was calling. Do people know why you're calling? See, when you walk into their home, you're at a yes. You don't open your door to people you want to say no to. So
True.
When you walk into that listing, they're at a yes. It's up to you to keep them at a yes. Because you're the one that changes it, not them. They're already at a yes. You either keep them at a yes or you put them to a no. And that sounds really harsh. And it's really true because I told you if at any time I make you feel uncomfortable, then you know I'm telling you the truth. Because they wouldn't open their door to you if they weren't already at a yes. Lance asked me, you got it, and yet I go to mega camp, I go to masterminds, I go all over, and very few people bring questions to ask. And I told them at Coaching Skills Camp, and I told them in Hawaii, and I told them in Denver, you keep 20 to 21 questions with you at all times to ask anybody you run into contact with. You know how John Maxwell and I became friends to where I have his cell phone and we talk. In fact, Sunday we were texting back and forth with each other because he was in Paris. Now, you know how? I'm on a plane. I got bumped to first class. I'm sitting in first class wondering who's going to sit next to me. In walks John Maxwell. I said, John, it's a 3.5-hour flight. I said, John, if you're tired, I get it. You've probably been speaking. And if you want to sleep, I'm going to be quiet. I got things to work on. If you don't want to sleep and you want to answer questions, I got questions. And he says, of course I'll answer your questions. Little did he know when I opened up that iPad, I keep a lot of questions. And he laughs at me now because before every coaching session, I have to send him questions. And before every coaching session, he'll get anywhere from 50 to 200 questions put in order, you got that, of my preference. with the understanding he can take any question he wants and answer it for me. I don't care which one he does. I just know the ones I like, my top 10, and then he gets to choose. Sometimes he takes the one that I didn't think he would choose. It's him. He's my coach. He thinks, you know, what do I need? So he looks at the questions and pours into me. Do you have questions? If not, that's the best advice I can give you from now until we meet again. Write out questions, have them with you on your phone, on your iPad, whatever, to where you get around great people, you're asking questions. Because when you're telling, you already know all that stuff. Learn some other things, okay? Does that help? Did I lecture too much, Lance?
Nope, that was awesome.
You could
So
keep going
much.
all day.
And again,
You guys
just talk about.
Thank you.
Okay, go get him and finish strong. Finish strong.
Sincere
Thank
thank you
you.
for everything. That was wonderful.
Bye-bye.